Meow, I'm Tonya Todd, creator of 52 Love. 52 Love began as a blog series, offering one love lesson per week for an entire year of intimacy tips to try with your partner. From there, I hosted the 52 Love podcast, where existing couples came on the show, tried the tips, and shared their experience with it. The book version came out last year, and on February 14th, we have something new to add to the series. 52 Love, A Year of Romance. In this short story collection, 12 authors are joining me in taking characters from our existing works and using one of the 52 Love tips as a story prompt. And to celebrate the release of Volume 1, we are recording author-to-author interviews so that you can hear a little bit about their story process, how they became involved, and how their characters connect to a greater literary universe. We hope you enjoy this behind-the-scenes glimpse. Check out 52 Love, A Year of Romance on February 14th.
Okay, hello, Wendy Wimmer. How are
Hello,
you?
how are you? I'm happy to be here.
Amazing.
How are you?
I'm happy to be here too. I feel great. I love that we're part of the 52 Love family now.
Love it.
Love to be
Pun
loved.
intended.
Yes, that's absolutely right. So we are both part of the 52 Love. We're both friends of Tonya. She's amazing. We love her. She loves us. It's all fun. But we also we're honored to each contribute stories to the 52 Love Volume 2, which is the Volume 1 of the short story collection. Um, so let's as we'll kind of talk about it. So before we talk about our stories and all of that, we should talk about the queen who brought us here. So how do you know Tonya?
Well, I was when I was living in Las Vegas studying for my PhD. During the summers, I had like nothing going on. You know, I was just supposed to be working and avoiding the brutal sun of Las Vegas. And so I started doing a thing for my students who wanted to keep writing their writing practice and meeting in various coffee shops around Las Vegas. There's a lot of really great independent coffee culture in Las Vegas. And I met up with two folks who were just community writers who came in and they said, hey, this is really cool. Can we invite other people that we know from the Henderson Writers Group? So they invited Tonya and Amanda Skinnendor, who I actually had met another time here in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So it was kind of like, oh, you know, Amanda, clearly we are all destined to be best friends. So, and here we are 7 years later, as destiny had predicted, best friends.
Amazing. I love that. It's
How
funny.
about you?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I heard her. So our friend Mike Burton, who hosts the Genuine Chit Chat podcast. So I know Mike through connections. And the Comics in Motion guys, I heard him on there. I guested on his show. He guessed whatever. So it's just like through the confluence of events. And so I actually listened to Comics in Motion, and I was just a fan of theirs. And I reached out to Mike or to Chris and Dave and was like, you guys should do Speed Racer as an episode. And they did, and they hated it, and they dunked on Speed Racer, which is wrong. I love Speed Racer, but that's fine. So then we just started chatting, and so then I'm a comic book writer. Like I was writing reviews for DC Comics News. So anyway, just started chatting behind the scenes back before Twitter was evil, and that's what we used. So then I heard. So I was like, Mike invited me on his show because I'd heard him on there, and so we just became pals. And then I heard Tonya on. Bruce got Tonya on. Bruce booked Tonya on there, and I'd never met her, but I heard her voice and was like, I know her. That's what I said. I was like, I know who that is. And so I said, Mike, introduce us. And so he did. And I brought her on my Indie Comic Spotlight show, and we talked about the comic Black. But really, we were just like clicked, like nerds, this, that. So that's why we call each other Wonder Twins, because we have so many things that are similar. And it's super fun because truly in our friendship, if one of us were to turn into the cool animals and one of us were to turn into a bucket of water, that is the right thing, right? I would be like, ice slick.
Form of.
Right.
Shape of.
And she'd be like, I'm an eagle. And I was
She'd
like,
be a cat, but
she would be, right, form of a cat. Right.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
some kind of feline.
Right, exactly. So that was it. So that's how I know her, was for that. So friends of friends, but now it's like she's all part of it. And we did Comics Lit together. She's my, we co-edited that together and contributed. So yeah, just a weird, again, confluence of events, friends of friends who brought us to the Tonya.
God, I love that. I love that about us.
Good. And now we're here.
How that works. Yeah, and now you and I are going to become. I'm sorry, you got me now. You're locked in.
Listen, I'm thrilled because, as you know, as I said to you before we started recording, I gush at you at
Oh,
your collection of short stories. I love it so much. When I saw that you won, I didn't know you, but when you won the Autumn House Award, it's like, because I entered that for a novel of mine, which I did not win. You won the short story version of that. Totally deserved. So good. So the
well,
same
thank
year
you.
that you won was the year I submitted a novel for the
Oh, I'm
novel contest.
sorry.
No, it was different. There's more than one. They have a short
Oh,
story
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. No, but even if
Oh,
you
that's right.
had
I was
beat me,
debut or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you had beat me, I would have deserved it. Beat like a drum. That book is so good. So I'm
Thank you.
happy to meet you. So
Autumn House
okay,
is great. A pitch for them. I
yeah,
love working with them. So I know that they have a contest every year. It's definitely worthwhile for indie authors to submit to. Christine is amazing. So much support. They got me in People magazine, for goodness sake. I mean, how many tiny publishing houses do that? I was on
they don't.
NPR.
Yeah, they don't. They don't do that. And NPR,
Yeah.
coolest
It
radio
was
ever.
actually really cool. That was
Who did you get to meet?
it's Doug Gordon.
Okay,
So
nice.
not, I mean,
So
no
it
Terry
doesn't
Gross
matter.
situation, but
I mean, listen, that's the dream for all of us, right? Is to touch Terry Gross and then
yeah.
die. Yeah.
I just hold her face next to mine and just we'll touch nose bridges
Yeah.
and
I
then we'll
love
be.
that. I love that. I love that that's your dream. She's amazing, right? I mean, that
She
is
is
the goal.
amazing.
Like, if you could be like, oh, to talk to Terry Gross. And I know she doesn't think that about herself, but how
She
could she not?
doesn't. But
It's
if
crazy.
she ever insulted me, I think I would actually crumble into dust right then. I think I would be so crushed, I would just become a hole.
Oh,
I would go supernova.
well, that's whoever's making the Instagram of this at Terry Gross. Uh, maybe that's how we'll get to
Gary,
meet her.
call me.
Terry, call us right now. Okay, so 52 Love, for those of people who don't know, is a collection. Tonya did tips. She put it online. It was a video series. It was a bunch of different stuff, and it was like weekly tips to like keep your love life going and different love lessons. And so, which 52 Love lesson did your characters do?
So when she did the podcast originally, she let me pick from the topics, and I picked holding hands and so that is chapter, I believe, 3,
Mm-hmm.
or week 3 of the original, and I think it's called the whole world. Um, and because my husband and I was like, this is easy. I don't actually have to do anything because my husband and I just hold hands all the time. In fact, I was noticing it this morning. The first alarm had gone off. I don't know if you do this in your life, but we have several alarms to ease us into the new day. So the
No,
first alarm had
that's
gone
not
off.
me, but I understand it. I see, I know how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my husband needs he needs the soft landing into waking up. So the first alarm had gone off and I was awake and I was just laying there and my bulldog was farting and my husband we sleep kind of European style, so we have 2 different blankets. So he worms his way under into my blanket and then just finds my hand and holds it. And I was thinking,
Aw.
this is so sweet. Like, this is obnoxious. If anybody else knew that this happens, but we hold hands all the time. So that's why I picked my tip. How about you? What tip did you have and what did you get assigned?
That's amazing. Well, that's fun. So I love that. Well, interestingly, in the video, when we did the original, I did sunsets and that's not coming into the end. That's going to be, I'll be back in the fourth edition, because that was the one I was originally did. I was on the video
Right.
to do sunsets. I live on a river, Peace River, on the Peace Harbor in Florida, and out our back window, there's a sunset. And during COVID, my wife, we love sunsets. It's like our
Yeah.
favorite thing in the world. We applaud at sunsets, like
Aw.
and so like we grew up in Michigan. So Lake Michigan, you go sunsets, go wherever you go,
Yeah.
applaud at the sunset. So, but we out our window have the sunset. So during COVID, she took a picture of the sunset every day for a year and then edited a
Oh,
video together. And so it
I
became a
love
whole,
that.
so sunsets are just a big deal for us. We love them. So that was it. So in the original, so that was the thing. That story has yet to be written. Although I know what I'm going to write about, that will be later. This
Awesome.
one, I don't know what happened, and I wasn't, part of the decision making. But somebody had dropped out on the writing a letter.
Oh,
Write a letter, write something like
yeah.
write a love letter. So I said, well, I'm not I'm not like a love, like I don't like my kind of writing isn't like sexy love, sexy time. Mine's like, different types of love. That's not how I write. And she's like, it's fine. So I was like, it'd be fun, like, because I do love to write. Like, my penmanship is terrible, but I do leave my wife notes. We leave each other notes all the time. Like, I even have some things that she has written for me. Like, years ago, she'll put a little note. Like, I have an old calendar from like years ago where she wrote a little note in the calendar, so I kept it so I can go to that day. And there's like that note is there. And so like I'll occasionally just take a sticky note and like write memo like to and like you're the best, and then I'll hand it to her and then I'll be like later I'll be like, did you get that memo? Stuff like that. So I love to write little love notes. I think that matters. I'm a Gen Xer, so we grew up in a time where letters mattered, where
Holla.
yeah,
Next.
right. Getting stuff in the mail was a big deal. And
Yeah.
and in one of my books, there's a whole set because it takes place, the most recent one, it takes place in 1989, 1990. So there's like a whole thing about that anticipation of waiting for the mail. So I
Ah,
thought, I thought that would be fun. So I wrote one about that, but mine is not a sexy time love story. It's like a love between sisters and sending letters. But even in this modern, it's set now, but it's still that idea of that. So I thought that'd be fun.
I love that. It's got this very kind of Jane Austen vibe to it.
Right. Which is
Like,
my jam, of course. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I also like the epistolary form for fiction a lot.
Yeah.
The novel that I have coming out this fall is a lot of epistolary letter writing. Now they're
Nice.
emails because it's
Of course they are. But I
current
mean
age.
but that is fun though to like dig out an old letter, right? And to still write a letter. And occasionally I still will, you still want to send a letter to somebody and like, we get stuff from our granddaughter's going to be 3, so you can still send stuff in the mail. And yeah,
Oh,
like right, the original Lady Susan was
right.
was all epistolary. It was all done in letters.
Plus 12 for the juvenilia.
Plus 12 for the juvenilia. What?
That was impressive.
Jane Austen. Hey, listen, I've
On
got a
this,
full.
her 250th year of Jane Austen.
I mean, we've got Austen books in every room in the house. My books are retelling of Austen. I've got a Jane Austen action figure right there. I mean,
I
listen,
love it. I love it.
bring it.
I
Cool. Well,
love it.
that's good. So, for your story in this, did you adapt something, an existing story, or did you just do something brand new based on your assignment?
I did do something brand new, but I also did it as so my book. Are you there?
Yep.
My book, entry level, is 15 short stories, and there's a lot of conversation about whether or not like the world is the same or if there are all these different universes. They're all standalone, but they all have kind of a concentric theme of being in a universe that is kind of against or indifferent to you, to us peons who are not born wealthy.
Right.
So when it was due, well, it wasn't due, but it was, I had to get her the first draft. I came down with COVID pretty hard, and I have been suffering with chronic long COVID already. So it was like from my first infection. So then, terrified about, what was the subsequent infection going to do, plus also very sick. And I'm like, and I owe Tonya, I cannot let her down because she and I and you apparently are very we're very on time. We very much adhere to deadline. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna write. So I had something that was started. I was kind of been thinking about it. So what I did was I was thinking about my novel or the short story collection. And I was thinking, they exist in the same universe.
That's good to know.
Just at different times.
Sure.
And so I was thinking about how I love it. Like, I don't know. Well, you remember the X-Files? There was like the Morley cigarettes that the cigarette man and smoking man. And then the joke is that like Morley cigarettes would show up in subsequent everything, putting it all into the same universe then.
Right.
So I love that I love Easter eggs like that.
Yeah, I
thought,
do too.
what if I take some lesser characters or lesser moments and have them reacting to some of the events in the world of the short story collection? So the character. I have two characters, primary characters, George and Lottie, and George is actually a much lesser character in the short story Flarby. And he's a bully in it, so I wanted to redeem him and give him a redemption about bullying. And they bought their car from a different character, and it turns out he is the character that another short story had been dreaming about. And then there's a big cataclysmic event, and that's also related to another character in a short story that's about a Fedgin in Icelandic, about a male, a father-daughter relationship. The father is problematic and has problematic goals. Yeah. And so I wanted to hear the problematic goal has succeeded, and now the other characters are reacting to that without knowing, that is, it's just how we all have to deal with the world, right? We have
you got to bring your bag. You've got
people.
your stuff. Yeah, you've got
right.
your stuff, and whether you know it or don't know it, you're like, oh, that person's got some stuff.
Right. So that's where and then take all those elements, blend in 103-degree temperature and a lot of Paxlovid where you have like the garbage taste in your mouth, and set forth and think, okay, and this is what I always do for every short story is I think I'm gonna make this under 1,000 words. I'm just gonna get it done, and that's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah. And then so then I came up with that, and as I finished it, I was like, I had no idea where it was going. I just knew that they had to hold hands.
Right, you get to get in there.
and they do. They end up, the story ends with them holding hands, and they hold hands frequently throughout it, and I'm really satisfied with the ending. So
which we're not spoiling.
No, I'm not spoiling it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not spoiling it.
No, it's fine. Yeah. So tell me about your process of your letter.
Sure. Oh, so what I decided to do, everything for me has music. Okay, so all my stories have a playlist that goes along with them, but I listen to music while I'm writing. Like, I'm a person who listens to music with words while I'm writing other words. So that is my jam. So like, my characters all like certain music and they don't like other music. And so like in Welcome to Mansfield, where the characters from this story, the Play It Again Junior, they're in that. And Junior, the main character, that she likes classic rock, like 70s and 80s classic rock, because her dad does, and she and her dad kind of have a fraught relationship.
Yeah.
This is the one thing. So it's like she doesn't even know it. Like, you talk about the stuff you carry. Well, nobody else in the family likes that. Nobody else in the family cares about Def Leppard, or like nobody else in the family listened to Van Halen 3 when the guy from Extreme was the lead singer for Van Halen for one album, but she did. And her dad did, and they can talk about it. Like, that's their only language that they have. But all my characters like music. So this actually, I'm a big Bare Naked Ladies fan, and they have a song called Another Postcard from Chimpanzees. And so in Welcome to Mansfield, Junior has little sister. She's got one called Susie and one they call Little Bit. And I kind of thought about that song. Like, when my kids were little, they loved the Another Postcard from Chimpanzees song. And in Welcome to Mansfield, Junior says to Little Bit, who's struggling because Junior's away, let's be pen pals. And Little Bit's like 8, and she's like, what's pen pals? I don't even know, she doesn't know. So we're now catching up to them later in that year. And she's like, we are still not pen pals. So Little Bit has a fascination with Another Postcard from Chimpanzees song. So she doesn't actually know what a postcard is, though, because she's 8 and it's now. So that's sort of where it was. So the whole story ends. And with you, same. I just knew I had to get them to write a letter. So instead of it being, I originally sat down to write it thinking it's going to be letters. But then it didn't. It's something else totally happened. There's a long talk about Hanson's Mbop in there. It's a whole crazy thing. And then you get to the end, and then they send each other the postcards with chimpanzees. And so it all comes back to the song. And how you get there is how you get there. But I like the idea of sisters, like, in this day and age, she's 8, they're poor, an 8-year-old, there are definitely 8-year-olds who have phones, but Little Bit definitely doesn't. And so how is she going to communicate with her sister? So they FaceTime, like she and her mom will call, and she gets on, or she'll just call her, and she's like, Junior, where are you? like, she doesn't know where she is and she doesn't get to see her every day. So this was just a fun way for them to like love each other. And then it's also a fun adventure every time the mail comes. And again, it's that Gen X experience. So that's where that came from. And I just thought that was so they're existing characters, but it's a brand new story. And who doesn't, and I actually have a friend of mine who I work with, who I call my work mom. She will just occasionally send me postcards. So like the other day, this is funny. Maybe about a month ago, we opened the mail and this is a postcard. And so there's a reflection on it
Oh,
that Gail made herself and sent to us. And it says,
I love it. How
yeah,
many have a mission?
how many have a mission? And then it says more liberty, more belief, more rebellion right there. And she
Oh,
just sent it to us and she just put a little sticky note on it and said, I thought you kids could use some art. Now, my wife and I are in our 50s. She was like, I thought you kids could use some art. That's what
I
she
love
sent to us.
it.
So, like, and again, it's a postcard, So I just think little things like that are lovely and they matter. And so, yeah, that was it.
uh I'm just fascinated by this whole
Yeah.
conversation
Yeah.
because I mean
Please.
it's so filled with pop culture. First of all, like
Of course. Yeah.
who else would put like Nuno Bettencourt and Hanson in the same?
In the same universe.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know. I love me some.
funny.
Well, Nuno didn't join. See, that's the thing. Nuno didn't
Oh, it
join.
wasn't Nuno.
No,
Okay.
it was Gary.
Oh, okay.
Gary sang after they kicked out Sammy. They did an album with with uh with Gary singing. It's not
I
great.
am not good on my
It's
subsequent
okay.
Van Halen years.
It's okay. It's okay. Van Halen 3, like 8 of us own it. And I'm one. I'm
Pretty
one.
much.
Yeah.
And then
Me,
like Dave came back at
Dave
some
came
point.
back after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, and Sammy and the great, they did and the greatest, they did like a collection and they each came back and did another song.
Uh, Connecting this
Yeah.
thread, bit of trivia. Not this last year, but the year before that, the Jane Austen Society North America general meeting was held in Cleveland, and it happened to be the same weekend and the same hotel as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. So we all wearing Jane Austen gowns for the Jane Austen ball were eating pizza in the lobby with the guys from Foreigner.
That's amazing. I love everything about that. I love everything about that.
They were delighted.
Well, and I bet they were. I should probably, next time Junior pops up, I should probably make a Foreigner reference because she would definitely love Foreigner.
They're delightful, and they're all grandfathers too.
Nice. Yeah.
The only reason I clued in that it was happening, like we didn't know at the time, was that we see this guy. We're sitting in the lobby, just like sitting in the lobby, and then we see this guy walk back, and I'm like, that is the drummer from Red Hot Chili Peppers. That is definitely Chad Smith. And all of my Jane Austen people are like, who? And they're like, that's Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
No,
they're like, they look so much the same.
That's exactly why I know it's Chad Smith, because it's not with Will Ferrell.
So
and
funny.
they're like, how do you even know what he looks like? And I'm like, because I grew up, I'm Gen X, alternative music girl. Like,
yeah. That's amazing. I'm not part of that. I mean, all my books are Austen retellings, but I'm not part of that group. I probably should be.
You should be. It's going to be in Tucson, so not too far, and it's going to be over Halloween weekend this year. And the following year, I think it's in St. Louis. But it's going to be a Halloween themed ball this last year. Now we're totally going off the rails.
Yeah, that's fine.
I did get to hold hands with Susanna Harker, who played Jane Bennett in the OG miniseries.
Yeah. Nice. That's amazing. I love that. That's fantastic. That's so fun. Yeah, no, I'm a big Janeite, obviously. Because that's all my books are about, retellings of Jane books. But like you said, a little different and set in this world. But yeah, I've never done it. I should though. Obviously, I should do that.
You should. It's such good nerdy fun. I adore it. This last one, they had some of Jane's silverware. One of her great great nieces was there, and she brought some of the things from Chatham House.
Nice.
You can hold Jane's teaspoon.
Well, it's funny. Mike, who started this, or Tonya and I met, he lives there. He lives in Southampton. So he's like right around the corner from the Austen house. So when Tonya went to visit, they went.
What a treat.
Yeah, apparently they're and I've never been, obviously, but apparently one of one of her desks is in a library in London, and you can even sit at it. Did you do that?
Yep. No, I've never been
Me
to
neither.
since I've been to London, but since I've loved Jane Austen, hadn't. And I kick myself too, because when I went to Bath, the house where they were living in Bath is now part of the tea room. So I had tea in the tea room, and it's like I never
Wow.
even cluing in, like, oh, Jane Austen lived here, you know?
Jane Austen lived here because Jane was here. Jane
Yeah,
is awesome. We love Jane. Well, listen, I mean, I can totally turn this into the Wendy and Tonya Love
I
Jane
know.
Austen
I
festival, but
know. I know.
I've got an at you that I want to talk about. One of my
But
favorite things that you do, and I think as a short fiction writer, so I'm going to get nerdy and get crafty with
wait,
it.
unload it.
Um, my books keep getting longer. I'm a novelist now. I've written short stories. I have short stories published. I love me a short story.
Yeah.
But like now that I'm a novelist and my narrator just writes like Jane, how Jane breaks the fourth wall all the
Yes.
time and talks. So I do that. My narrator has opinions and breaks in and says shit. And in my short story, the narrator's there. So if my narrator brings the story along, your narrator is, not breaking the fourth wall. So you've got to pack a lot of punch. And what you do, you transition a paragraph with gut punches all the time. Like the way that some people end novels, you end and start a paragraph, like end a chapter of a novel. So like, for instance, in your story, I'm just going to read some things at you. This is on for those of you reading along, on page 32 of this book, you wrote, "The night sobs filled neighborhoods as people gathered outside to view the death of the nearest heavenly body." That's the first sentence of a paragraph. And then there's like over and over. I mean, there's obviously a line when you talk about them holding hands. This time, George reached over to clasp Lad's hand. Okay, so that's great. Okay, but then a couple paragraphs later, Lad allowed the silence to hang. Just like you start. So like my crafty at you. This is that an intentional thing? Do you separate your mind from your body when you're like, all my paragraphs are going to be, because I'm writing short stories, have to feel like they're chapter openers, because they do. They're like really powerful and it's really noticeable. And that's obviously why you won the award, because all of your stories are so good and they're so powerful. And every moment is full of something. Um, you know, the girl who eats all the candy, and I can't remember the name of the story off the top of my head. Guy sobbed. Which is it?
Darby
Darby.
is the name of the story.
Yeah, you're right. Darby's her name. Sobbed. Loved that story so much.
That one's hard.
But it's so good. It's so good. But in every single moment, you're in it with her, and that's why it works. So like, that's my at you craft question about your thing is like, and you did, because I recognize game. If I didn't know that was you, I'd be like, well, this person's trying to, write like Wendy. So what is it? That's my question. Is that intentional, or is that like
Yes.
that's just your skill set?
Everything is intentional.
Okay.
Have you ever seen those people who live in tiny homes on
I have.
like YouTube videos where
Yeah.
they're like, this bucket is where we, take our showers, and also it's where we harvest our grapes, and also I use it to store my DVDs when I'm not doing those things. Yeah. And then we put our child in it at night to sleep. I feel like because you have such little real estate, your short story has to be as efficiently packed as a carry-on case by somebody who has obsessive compulsive disorder. Every sentence should be doing like at least 2 jobs to earn the real estate. And I also very much fetishize openings and endings of short stories, particularly. And I think what you might be picking up on is some of that, where I'm like, my sense of rhythm is, it's almost like a breath. It's like a reading of, when I think that paragraph should end and begin like as a natural intake and exhale. So it should feel like that emotionally, but I don't know. I'm really sounding like a crazy person.
No, this is good. I asked. I want you to go crazy. Let's go crazy.
So I am so meticulous about especially first pages and endings, and ideally I want them to resonate with each other. They should almost okay, now we're going to go way way inside baseball. So like there's the Freitag graph of a story where it's kind of like linear progression,
Yeah,
and then you have the climax, and then you have the denouement. So it's kind of like that. I prefer an ovoid story, so not a linear story. I want an ovoid story because I feel like that's more of a naturalist tale.
I
Um,
agree.
in that you should come into it when this is the moment at which, like, I feel like when you come into it, the ending is all but certain, and it's just a question of where is that, how does it play out, and there is a tipping point, of course, where it could go either way, or maybe one of 3 or 4 directions, but it's almost a certainty. So that's what I mean by ovoid. It's almost like I take the Freitag pyramid and I only focus on that middle, and I don't really give you much at the end, because again, I want it to kind of resonate and close back up. So I hadn't noticed that about paragraphs. So I really appreciate you bringing that up and noticing it. I'm fascinated now. I'm going to have to think about it. But like, even, boy, now because you can definitely see that, like the first paragraph, which is the first line of Strange Magic, which is the first story in the book. When Mary Ellen's left breast grew back on its own during our Saturday dinner break, we had confirmation that something weird was happening.
Right.
And we end with Mary Ellen making a choice about the fact that her left breast grew back.
Right.
Where she had a mastectomy and suddenly it's back. She's making a choice about that. So we have that ending. So I guess that's where I'm going for. And then the paragraphs kind of derive almost perhaps subliminally as I'm writing it. But I also will say, Stephen King famously says writers are either taker-outers or putter-inners. I'm a taker-outer.
Oh, I'm not.
I scalpel everything. I am dissecting and plucking and rearranging. It's actually my favorite thing. 90% of my writing is rewriting. The novel that I'm publishing this fall, I have rewritten it. I am not joking. 4 times from front to back. It's 98,000 words. At one point, it was 120,000 words. So that was me just scalpel. Take, if you have an 11-word sentence, can you make it a 9-word sentence? Which is obnoxious, but it's the only way I know how to do it. You said you're not that.
I'm not that. Well, like, Tom Robbins is that, right? That was Tom Robbins. Like he would famously didn't have an editor. Whatever he turned in, that was the deal. Whatever he turned in, they had to publish, and he would rewrite individual pages. So like you can imagine him writing, Still Life with Woodpecker over and over and over. And there's like, a walking, talking like can of soup in that book. And he's like, nope, the can of soup has got to say, you know what I mean? So like it's an interesting, I guess that's not that was Skinny Legs and All that has the walking can of soup. But regardless, like he's got these weird, fantastical things. So there are people that I am the other way. I love a good plotting novel. Like Don Quixote is one of my all-time favorite books, and that goes on and never ends.
Like 600,000 words.
I love that book. I love it. I read it every couple of years. I go back and read it again, and it's funny every time. And I know it goes on in the middle. I understand. But it was also like, I also think about what he was doing. Like when I read Les Mis, you're like, yeah, I do need 200 words to know how the toilet system in France works. Like, and I joke about that because if you've ever read, anybody who's ever read Les Mis, that's true. There's like a whole section that's just on that.
Wonderful.
And, but it's still very descriptive and whatever. And I'm a big fan of a plotting novel. Now, I think it has to go somewhere. And I think there's a part of it, but I do love a flourish. I like when my narrator gets involved. My characters don't necessarily have a lot to say. I'm not always like, like Randall in Clerks never stops talking, right? Like I don't have characters like that, because obviously in the Jay and Silent Bob, who are really Jay and Kevin, Dante and Randall are them, right? They're the avatars of Jay and Kevin in real life. And so of course Randall would be Jay, and he doesn't shut up, and he's always got something to say, and he doesn't. Whereas Dante's like, I'm not supposed to be here today. The end. And so my character is more talk like Dante, but my narrator has things to say. My narrator has got opinions, and that's fun for me. Yeah, so I'm definitely, and and then there's also you're a planner or you're a pantser, and a plotter or a pantser, and
Yeah,
I'm a pantser too. Like
I am
I
too.
I write the first two drafts, they're all up here. Like I take a walk,
Yeah.
I get to know my characters.
Yeah.
What is your favorite band? What foods don't you like? Are you a vegetarian? Do you like so Junior, her favorite classic rock band, Tesla. It's a
Interesting.
deep cut, right? But
Yeah.
I personally love Tesla. And as I was playing the different music and listening to Def Leppard, who I think is the
Hmm.
best band of the classic rock era, I think Def Leppard is the best of them, my personal opinion. But like best and favorite aren't always the same. And there's just something about the way that Tesla plays and their kind of jangliness and their very, laid back California style comes through their thing. And there's something that appeals to her. She's got a nervous condition. There's nothing nervous about Tesla. Like they just roll up, you're just like, here we are. And so there's something appealing for her. So like once I get to know all of that, and that's why, and I think about all of her things because she always wears a scarf around her neck, so no one can see when she's breaking out in hives. And when she's in public, she always rubs it to make sure it's tight against her neck, before she walks in front of people. So for her to have a favorite band that's totally the opposite of who she is, like her favorite band isn't like Bjork. She
Right.
doesn't need to be anxious all the time. She's
Right.
already anxious all the time. So she needs somebody who's like, hey, man, right?
I love
So,
that.
so I think, so I write all those drafts in my head. Then when I sit down, the character, like I'm not writing in first person, but the characters, like they are formed. I can be like, ooh, I need this. And when I do write in first person, my master's thesis was in first person, 7 different people, first person, present tense, 7 characters. It's an MFA. You got to do something wacky, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so every one of them has a song or a band that I could listen to get into their character. So like one of them, it was always for Will, it was always Shadow Stabbing by Cake. That was the first song I would always listen to get back into Will. And it's like, and that sound of the typewriter at the beginning, and it's like crack. And then bring this, and then with Koa, it was always Jack Johnson, and with Honey, it was always actually a lot more like angry ska music. Like that was like so it was like everybody has their thing, and I could turn that music on and get into them. But all that is the pre-writing. So then I can pants it because what they're saying can just happen.
But you're not really pantsing it at that point because you've done all this non-writing writing time. So I feel like you're invisible pantsing.
Probably. Yeah. Because I don't know where the story's going to go necessarily.
Right.
But I
Right.
know
You don't know where the plot
yeah.
is, but you've done all the foundational work.
Yeah, that's true. And I do. And I think it's really important to know your characters. Like you wanted George to get redemption.
Yeah.
And so you know him, you know why he needs it, you know what he needs. And so no, I think it's fun. So I appreciate you doing that because I appreciate you answering that so specifically, that question, because I did feel like you're such a great short story writer, and I am working on a short story. You've got a novel coming out. I'm like when I finish my 6th book, I'm almost done with book 5, and then book 6 is the end of the 6-book series that I'm contracted to do, and then I want to do a short story collection called Unresolved, because my favorite types of short stories are the ones where you don't know the ending.
I love that.
Right? Where
I never want to know the ending.
I don't either. Yeah.
Why would you read it if I know the ending?
Right, because then you get to decide if the story is well written enough and the characters are interesting enough, then you get to decide. Now, in this mine's, it's just like a sweet story between sisters. And so it has an ending, but you don't know, is this just the one time she's going to send it? Do you think she's going to send her more postcards? You don't, like you,
right.
but I love like an ambiguous, like they fell off a building. They opened a door. That's the end, right? You're like, well, what's out there? I don't know. What is out there?
Well, and that's how my Strange Magic ends, is her opening the door with her back.
Right.
Like she walks backwards out of a door.
Yeah, cool. And you're like, oh shit, what's up? And I love that, and I want to know, and I think that's what I loved about your stories too. So, but yeah, I loved this.
I love that too.
Yeah,
I think we should start a movement.
Yes, the unresolved story endings.
Yes.
I know when people get so mad,
they get so angry.
And when you can tell that the director or the writer got a note and had to come in and write a dumb ending, or when they had to be like epilogue.
Yeah.
Trust your audience, people.
And one of the things I always tell, I used to teach literature. to undergraduates, and undergraduates are always trying to find like the secret decoder ring to understand what the piece was about. And I keep telling them, like, we can't call, well, I guess we could call Joyce Carol Oates. She's still around, but we can't call Shakespeare to find out what he thought. We can't call Aphra Behn to find out what she was planning with this. And also, once it is published, it's out there. It's no longer
yours.
mine. I can tell you what I intended, but it's your story now as the reader. You get to decide what happens. You get to decide, did they live happily ever after? Or did they go off and I don't know, speaking of Clerks, thinking about the ending, the other ending.
The original ending of the first Clerks.
Right, the original ending.
I'm glad he didn't do it.
You get to decide if that happened, if it's not there. But if it's there, you don't get to decide that. Now it's like set in stone.
Correct. Yeah, I agree. And it's funny. I also am an English teacher of undergraduates. I'm a dean now, but I was, woo. But it's funny. One of my favorite assignments was to make them to decide who lives or who dies at the end of the Yellow Wallpaper.
Love it.
What happened? Like,
I love it when you can make undergrads argue.
Yeah, and the Yellow Wallpaper in particular. By the way, BT Dubs out there, people, there's some IP. You need to make a horror movie. The greatest horror short story of all time.
It just came out, right?
Sitting there. Somebody made a movie of the Yellow Wallpaper?
No, it just came out of copyright protection, though.
It should be close, right? I mean, I'm just saying.
1930?
Yeah, you're right. It would be. Yes, it would be right now. Oh man, that story. Yeah. What a genius. But like to have your students have to read that and be like, what the hell is going on? I don't know. Who's out there? It's just like it's so much fun. And I do think that's what fiction. I think that's what art is supposed to do. And I'm not against like, and then it ended, and here's the full example of what happened. But I don't think everything needs to be that way. Our friend Jane, there's a reason we only see one of the heroines get married. The rest of them, we see their weddings. Or we're at the weddings, but like only Eleanor is married by the time the book is end. Like the rest of them were like at their weddings. I mean, that spoiler alert for Fanny and Ed, they do get married and get a pug at the end, but that's it. Like, what's their life after? Like, what happens next? And that's the best part of Austen is it's like, this isn't happily ever after. This is like just happy. You get to decide what ever after looks like.
And to your point, Mansfield Park is frequently cited by fans of Austen as their least favorite piece.
That was the one. That's why I started with it. That's why Welcome to Mansfield is first.
I actually am reading it right now. Again.
I love it. I love it. And I just think it was, and I understand it's icky. She marries a first cousin. I get all that. But like, so that's why I did it the way I did it, where they're sorority sisters. The moms are sorority sisters. And so you're like, okay, good. Let's move on. Yeah, let's move along. But no, I think people misunderstand how brave Fanny Price is.
She's so brave. She had nothing.
And she says no all the time.
Yep.
Her heart is pure. She's so good. And in my version, spoiler alert for my version of Welcome to Mansfield, I want to watch your face when I say that. Tommy, Bertram, and Yates are a couple.
Really?
Shouldn't they be?
Very interesting.
In my version, they are.
That's fantastic.
I believe they're very queer-coded in Mansfield Park.
I kind of love that.
Because Yates marries Julia at the end. Yeah. Does he? Does he?
That's a lavender marriage. Well, not a lavender marriage, but yeah.
She's his beard, and she knows, and it's fine. It's fine. It keeps him and Tommy Jr. around each other, and what do? They're off gallivanting, and he's
such a disappointment to his father, right? Like,
correct.
What's all in there? You're right. It's totally coded.
That's how I feel. That's my read of them. So in my version, they're just like, it's not a secret. They're just already a couple when the book starts, because it's not their book. They're just in it as side characters. So Tommy and Yates, and Mike Burton, our friend Mike Burton, will bring him up one more time. Tommy and Yates are his favorite characters.
Really?
In my book, yeah, and because he thinks they're a delight. They're delightful fun. Anyway,
they're definitely not boring.
No. Well, I can't wait to hear your new reread of Mansfield Park. I love Mansfield Park. I love them all.
I just restarted it, and it's so, because I'm also thinking about adapting it. But I don't have firm designs on it right now. I don't have a hook on it.
Yeah.
But I keep thinking about adapting Persuasions, because I think that's or Persuasion.
It's my favorite.
It's so good, and it's
I'm
so ahead
yeah,
of its time, and
it
is
is.
so ahead of her time.
She's my favorite heroine.
Oh, she's
She's my
fantastic.
favorite. And actually, I'm doing that one last. So like in my 6 books, so I did Mansfield, Welcome to Mansfield, That Other Dashwood Girl, which is obviously that sense. It'll be Universal Truth is Pride and Prejudice. Jane is the one that comes out this November. That's my Emma, told from Jane Fairfax's perspective. Then I'm working on Haunting Northanger, and then where they make a horror movie because of course Kat would love to be in a horror movie. And
Of
then
course.
my final one, Persuasion, is called Regardless of You, and that will be um, the final one.
Oh,
I love Jane. So, but mine are all connected. They all know each other and they all get to hang out. So the connected
I love
universe is
that.
fun. Yeah. So like the college they go to, Mansfield College, the president, when Junior Price, who's Fanny Price, because you're not calling a teenage girl Fanny in
Right.
2020. Yeah. So she's Junior Price. They the president of Mansfield College is Mary Bennett, of course.
I actually have a really soft spot for Mary Bennett in my mind. I feel like she's so autistic coded. Like she's just,
She's the star of my version of Pride and Prejudice. It's
oh,
called
it's
Universal Truth.
awesome.
She's asexual.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So there's a whole her coming out, like her dad sort of knows. Like I have all these private moments because in Pride and Prejudice we see Lizzie and Mr. Bennett in the library all the time. Well, of course, all the sisters have private moments in the library with their dad.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
it's
in
just the perspective is from Lizzie. So
so you get to spend a lot of time with Mary Bennett and her dad in the library in my
oh,
version. Yeah.
that's awesome.
And you're
Because I'm
right.
kind of mad at the dad, Mr. Bennett. I'm kind of annoyed. Like, and he annoys me so
Sure.
much.
Well, yeah, of course. Of course. But yeah,
I'm very I'm about the redemption of Mary Bennett and Mrs. Bennett, whom I assume's name is Jane, because in
because
Austin
Jane
it's
is Jane. Yeah. Yeah.
right. In Austin, all of the first daughters are named after the mom. So that's what I'm assuming.
I made up names for the other characters. Like I gave Mrs. Dashwood a first name, like in my version, her name is Sam. But like I didn't do that for the Bennetts particularly because they're so famously don't call each
They're
other by their first names.
right. She
I
literally doesn't have, yeah.
so I did it. I did it in my version too. Yeah, mine's a Gen X love letter. It takes place in 1989.
Dreamy. So everybody
18-year-old.
watching has to go out and buy this, because if for many people they find Austen too archaic to read at the source material, I think adaptations are definitely great places to really
Start.
embrace the heart of Austen.
I hope so. And I did get one review who said I could never finish Mansfield Park, but who started Welcome to Mansfield, got halfway through, understood it finally, went and read all of Mansfield Park, and then came back and finished Welcome to Mansfield.
What a gift. What a gift. That
I'm
was such
so
a gift.
pleased. I'm so pleased. I know. And she put that right in her review. I was like, wow, that was amazing. I did not.
And Mansfield Park is not a easy book to read.
No, it's not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. No. Well,
there's
Wendy,
so much
when does your book come out?
Well, I'm actually in the midst of final edits right now. I've been joking. It takes me about, I started out it took me 45 minutes to get through 10 pages, and now I'm on page 156, and it's still taking me 45 minutes to get through 10 pages. So at this rate, hopefully fall of October or late October of this year of
2026.
Now I'm so stuck in 1989 thinking about it.
Yeah. Think about
fall of 2026. However, I don't have the confirmation yet because Publishing World is amorphous and weird, and it's a business. From UW Press, University of Wisconsin Press. And
nice.
How about yours? When is yours?
The book Jane, book 4 of the Austen Chronicles, comes out in November of 26 as well. So we can both be fall releases. Yeah, November.
Oh my God.
Come out in November. Yeah. So
I use a lot of Jane nods in my book, and to wrap this around, like my heroine in my book is named Jane. And
mine is too.
Her blog name is Jane A.R, like air.
Yeah, nice.
And often she writes to Dear Reader, and there's a lot of going on there. But one of the ways that she writes to her best friend, and when if the subject line is ever the drummer from Def Leppard has only one arm, that means like I've been kidnapped.
I love that. I
And
love
help.
that. And of course he does.
Yes,
As
he
we
does.
know that's true.
He's
And
wonderful.
look at it all tied back. We got classic rock back in there. We've got both of us have books with the main characters called Jane that come out. My
Yep.
Jane Fairfax, of course, music prodigy Jane Fairfax. And her mortal enemy Emma, and she doesn't know why. That's my favorite thing is like when you read Emma, you're like, what the one line I almost added, but I didn't. If that book would have been written in 1989, she would have said it. What's your damage, Emma? But she doesn't.
Amazing.
But she doesn't say it. But I thought it the whole time, like, what is Emma's prop? Like, why does Emma Woodhouse hate? We know why Emma Woodhouse hates Jane Fairfax so much, but
Right.
Jane, my version of Jane, who is on the spectrum, has no idea. She does not understand. Like, why do you what? There is a line she says. It's not a tragedy's not a contest. What is your?
That's amazing.
Because
that's
of course,
amazing.
right? Because thank you. Because that's the whole thing. Is like Emma's like, but I lost my mom too.
Right.
She's like, right.
Did you almost get pushed off a cliff by your boss?
Right.
I mean,
right. Yeah. Anyway,
that didn't really happen. If you haven't read Emma, that didn't really actually happen.
It didn't actually happen at all. Poor Aunt Hetty.
You want to hear my fan wank for Emma?
I do.
I think that Harriet Smith is oh gosh, what are their names? Miss the talkative spinster lady.
Jane's Aunt Hetty.
Yeah. Hetty, Harriet, in Jane, the first names are always the mother's name. I think I have this whole like she was
that's why she's there in Highbury.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's my whole theory.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I know that it comes out later that the father has been, but I had this whole idea that it's actually Mr. Woodhouse is actually the father and has been paying for Harriet this whole time.
That's why she's her.
And because Emma is so like narcissist that she is attracted to Harriet Smith, but she doesn't know why, and she decides she's gonna like help her and everything, and it's because she looks physically like her.
Amazing. Well,
that's my fan.
I love that. I love that. You'll appreciate this. My version of Harriet Smith is because the narrator breaks the fourth wall. Harriet Smith is and was Wisconsin nice. She's from Wisconsin, and she ends up
I'm not Wisconsin nice, by the way. I'm edgy for Wisconsin.
You're edgy for. She ended up out in Highbury at the Goddard School, as it was a boarding school because again, she does. Her mom's gone, her dad doesn't know what to do with her, so he pays for her to go. So I just cut to the chase. There's no mystery in my version. Her dad puts her in this boarding school because he doesn't want anything to do with her.
Well, that's wonderful. Everyone must read it. Go pick it.
Thank you. All right, and everybody will get, so this fall, we both have books with Jane, but right now, go get Wendy's book, go get my book. I'm sure our stuff will be in the show notes when this comes out.
I'm sure it will be.
ARFarina.com.
WendyWimmer.com.
See how easy to remember. We made life easy for people.
We try. Look at us.
Absolutely. We are
awesome.
Look at
us being awesome.
We are.
Thanks everybody for watching, and bye 52 Love.
52 Love.